Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jai Radha Gopinata Radha Gopinata Shri Radhe Jai Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Shri Radhe Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jai Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Dai Go Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Go Hari Bol Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Gopal Krishna Goswami Tamani Prabhupada Sasaitami Pakasha Bhakti Vichar Pacharangi Vansari Utpate Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschacha Desatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutapada Kamalam Shri Gurung Vaisnavam Sha Sirupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavando Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vindavaniswari Visabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhuvya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So today we'll be discussing about Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur, about his glories and teachings and some of the books that he wrote. We'll just mention them. Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur is one of the many acharyas, most prominent acharyas in our line of disciplic succession. And actually there was this one commentary of Srila Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur that inspired a lot. How Srila Prabhupada became so determined in order to fulfill the desire of his Guru Maharaj to preach this Krishna consciousness to the English-speaking world. When he read this commentary of Srila Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur in that second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, text 41, he became so determined that yes, even in a ripened age, around 69, he still wanted to fulfill the desire or instruction from his Guru Maharaj. And just like yesterday, we commemorate the arrival of Srila Prabhupada in America. That was September 17, 1965. And he wrote a very nice poem, Markini Bhagavat Dharma, where he expressed his sentiments, his feelings of being unqualified and being like a beggar, asking the mercy of Lord Krishna to be bestowed upon him so that his mission will become fulfilled. It was amazing how Srila Prabhupada fulfilled that message that his Guru Maharaj wanted him to distribute to the English-speaking world, the Krishna consciousness movement that he started in 1966. So this verse, I will read it, and also we can discuss this later on. This verse, Vyavisayatmika buddhir ekaha kuru nandana bahusakha hi anantascha buddhayo vyavisayinam. Srila Prabhupada's translation from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. So he took it as his life and soul, that purpose of going to America. After reading the commentary of Srila Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur, he wrote many commentaries of the Acharya's works, Srimad Bhagavatam especially, that Srila Prabhupada used on many occasions, different commentaries from different Acharyas, including specifically Srila Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, that is also commentary from Rupa Goswami's work. She Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or Srila Prabhupada has summarized in his Nectar of Devotion. Many Chaitanya Charitamrita also as well. And even from the young age, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is very Krishna conscious. Since he also appeared in a Brahmana family from a community in Radhadesh, in the district of Nadia, West Bengal. He said he was celebrated by the name of Hari Balava. That was his name when he was a young boy or from his child. He was given the name. He had two elder brothers named Ramabhadra and Raghunath. Both also are Chakravarti, the last name. This is a name for high-class Brahmana family. So in his childhood, he studied under the guru. His name is like Raghunath, or Rama. There is this spiritual name of his Guru Maharaj as Radha Raman, or in the name of Rama means Radha Raman. And he went to a village named Sayyadabad in the district of Murshidabad, where he studied the Bhakti Shastras in the home of his Guru. So more he was identified being from here in Sayyadabad, because he spent a lot of time, many years here, and he wrote the first 3 books here while still under the tutelage of his Guru Maharaj, Sri Radharaman. It says here that these 3 books are Shri Bhaktira Samrita Sindhu Bindu, Shri Ujjwala Nilamani Kirana, and Shri Bhagavatamrita Kana. Then later on, he renounced his household life. He was a Grihasta, and he went to Vrindavan. And there he wrote many more books and commentaries. The Bhakti Sastra Acharya is Srila Rupa Goswami. And Srila Rupa Goswami, he wrote many books under the direction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that later on also he expounded more. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur expounded later on the writings of Srila Rupa Goswami. So it says also that Srila Bhakti Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur is an expansion of Srila Rupa Goswami. And most of the associates of the Supreme Lord who came and assisted him during his pastimes, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago, they were either Sakis or Manjaris. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also is one of the Manjaris. Says, I was just reading the other day, that he's also one of the personal assistants of Srimati Radharani in that Manjari mood. Manjari means younger in age, around 12 or 13 years old. And since, because at that age, they are like innocence, their innocence is so prevalent that they're more intimate. There are some pastimes of the Supreme Lord and Srimati Radharani that they can be with them exclusively and not with the elderly Sakis. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is one of them. So after the disappearance of Sriman Mahaprabhu and his eternal associates, who had taken up residence in Braj, the current Sudha Bhakti was flowing by the influence of the three great personalities, Srinivas Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, and Shivananda Shamananda Prabhu. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti was the fourth one in the line of disciplic succession, coming from Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Again, our lineage is more of a Siksha line instead of the Diksha line, because to preserve the essence of the teachings, the Siksha line has become, some of them are more prominent than those who are in the Diksha line. So our disciplic succession is in that way. So it says here, one disciple of Srila Narottam Das Thakur Mahasaya was named Shiganga Narayan Chakravarti Mahashaya, and he lived in Balakura Gambila within the district of Murshidabad. He had no sons and only one daughter, whose name was Vishnupriya. Srila Narottam Das Thakur had another disciple named Ramakrishna Bhattacharya from the Brahmana community of Varendra, a rural community of West Bengal. The youngest son of Ramakrishna Bhattacharya was named Krishna Charan, and Shinganga Narayan accepted Krishna Charan as an adopted son. The disciple of Sri Krishna Charan was Radharaman Chakravarti, who was the spiritual master of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So in one of the commentaries of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Sarartha Darshini, at the beginning of the Rasa Panchadhyaya, 5 chapters describing Sri Krishna Rasa Leela, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has written the following verse. Sri Ram Krishna Ganga Charanan Natva Gurun Uru Premna Shila Narottama Nata Si Gauranga Prabhu Know Me. So in this sloka, the name Sri Ram refers to the spiritual master of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sri Radha Raman. And the word Krishna refers to his grand spiritual master, Param Gurudev, Sri Krishna Chandra, or Sri Krishna Charana. The name Ganga Charana refers to his great grand spiritual master, Paratpara Gurudev, Sri Ganga Charana. The name Narottam refers to his great grand great grand spiritual master para Gurudev Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And the word Nata refers to the spiritual master of Srila Narottam Thakur, Sri Lokanath Goswami. In this way, he is offering obeisances unto his Guru Parampara up to Sriman Mahaprabhu. And Lokanath Goswami has only one disciple, Narottam Das Thakur. It's very interesting how that he received the mercy of Sri Lokanath Goswami, Srila Narottam Das Thakur. The daughter of Srinivas Acharya, Hemalata Thakurani, was extremely learned and a great Vaishnavi. She expelled an estranged disciple named Rupa Kaviraj from the Gaudiya Vaishnava community. Thereafter, Rupa Kaviraj was known as Atibadi in the Gaudiya Vaishnava community. He established his own concocted doctrine opposed to the Gaudiya Vaishnava conclusions that only a person in the renounced order of life could act as Acharya. He claimed that it was not possible for a householder to become a spiritual master. Completely disregarding the path of devotional rules and regulations by Marg, he propagated the path of spontaneous attraction, Raga Marg, in an unrestrained and undisciplined manner. His opinion was that Raganuga Bhakti could be practiced by Smarana, remembrance alone, abandoning the practices of Sravana and Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. So that is not our philosophy. Our philosophy is that we should follow first the Vaidhi Marg, this Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, which includes both Sadhana Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. Without following first the rules and regulations being regulated, specifically following the 4 regulative principles, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex, and chanting minimum of 16 rounds, and being engaged in practical devotional service throughout the whole day, one cannot come to the spontaneous love of the Supreme Lord. Loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord in a spontaneous way cannot be just attained or obtained very cheaply just by remembering. Our mind is very, very flickering, chanchala. Srila Prabhupada understood the mentality of his early disciples that they cannot be fixed only in just hearing and chanting. So he gave an ultimatum instruction, 16 rounds per day minimum, instead of the previous acharyas, his Guru Maharaj, as recommending 1 lakh name of the Lord, or 64 rounds, just like in India and Vrindavan, is normal for a sadhaka, a practitioner in the line of disciplic succession, or in our line of disciplic succession, to chant 64 rounds, which it takes about 8 hours of concentrated, uninterrupted, concentrated. Otherwise, the Western mentality cannot be fixed for a long time. So he gave 2 hours of chanting, minimum 16 rounds, and be engaged in some practical devotional service. So in this way, our mind can be trained up, to become fixed unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord by this chanting of the holy name of the Lord, minimum. And then there is also reading time and also practical devotional service during the whole day. Otherwise, there is some new concoction nowadays also that, you can only chant like 4 rounds. If you can. If you cannot, then, just be engaged in some service. But then it's not really acceptable towards the Supreme Lord, because the Acharyas already, Srila Prabhupada, in our disciplic succession, he already gave the minimum rounds to chant and how we can practice in loving devotional service, ultimately the ultimate goal. So it is not possible. So there is this one person who concocted this idea, which is not possible to attain the Raganuga platform immediately. Fortunately, Srila Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur was present at that time. In his Sarartha Darshini commentary on the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he refuted these false conclusions. Also, it says, the householder disciples in the disciplic succession of Nityananda Prabhu's son, Virabhadra, and those who are descendants of the rejected sons of Advaita Acharya, award and accept the title of Goswami. Such action is completely improper according to the line of Acharyas. So even up to this day, because of the previous Acharyas, they're titled Goswamis, and therefore the children or the following members of the family of these Acharyas before, having a title of Goswamis, even though they're not following strictly the principles, they took that proprietorship of having a title of Goswami. So even in Vrindavan nowadays, the proprietor or the ones who's doing the main pujas of the main temples, they're also Goswamis, have this title Goswamis. Some of them not really like very strictly following, and many of them are still following, but those who are not following, they took that title. They took that to be, there should be also entitled to be called as Goswami. Because Goswami means one who is a controller of the senses. One is controller of the mind. The activity should be always dedicated in the service of the Supreme Lord. Goswami or Swami means master of the senses, and who are engaged in the service of Lord Krishna 24 hours a day. That is what it called Goswami. So it says here, such action is completely improper according to the line of Acharyas. If they're not engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord 24 hours a day, and they're committing some activities which is not in the line of being very strict, then how can they be called Goswamis? So it becomes like a caste system here. Sri Chakravarti Thakur refuted this idea of Rupa Kaviraj. He proved that it was not incompatible for a qualified Grihastha descendant of an Acharya to act as a spiritual master, but for unfit descendants of Acharya families who are greedy for disciples and wealth to adopt the name of Goswami is unlawful and contrary to the statements of Shastra. This he also proved. Therefore, although acting as an Acharya, he never used the title Goswami with his name. He did this just to instruct the foolish and unfit descendants of Acharya families of modern times. Yeah, it becomes like a business to have a Goswami title, even though you're a Grihastha. Then it becomes like a family business. Not all of them, but many of them. When Srila Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur was very old, he spent most of his time in semi-conscious state, deeply absorbed in bhajan. At that time, in the state of Jaipur, a debate broke out between Gaudiya Vaishnavas and other Vaishnavas who supported the doctrine of Swakiyavad, marital love. So at that time, the king was Jai Singh, Maharaj Jai Singh II. And the Vaishnavas of the antagonist camp, led by Jai Singh, to believe that the worship of Srimati Radharani along with Shri Govindadev was not supported by the Shastra. Their contention was that Srimati Radhika's name was not mentioned anywhere in Srimad Bhagavatam or the Vishnu Purana, and that she was never legally married to Krishna according to Vedic rituals. And that is true. Radharani's name, or many of the gopis' names are not mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto. Some of the elderly gopis, like Mother Yasoda or Rohini Mataji, the mother of Lord Balaram, and other elderly gopis that were mentioned, but not at all for the rest of the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani, for the reason that the Acharya says that if Sukadev Goswami, Sukadev means also he is an expansion of the parrot of Radharani. If somehow he would have mentioned the name of Radharani, then Sukadev Goswami will fall into ecstasy, and he may not be able to finish the whole 7-day narrations of the Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So indirectly, the name of Srimad Radharani though was mentioned, but it is like only those who are in the Rasika Bhav, then they can understand that this is none other than Radharani. But indirectly, her name was not mentioned, and the names of the young gopis, so that the Srimad Bhagavatam will be able to be completed in 7 days, recitation of Sukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. But in other Puranas, Radharani's name was mentioned along with the other gopis, and Acharyas, the Goswamis' work, they mentioned very much the names of the gopis headed by Srimati Radhika. Another objection was that the Gaudiya Vaishnavas did not belong to a recognized line of disciplic succession. So these are like the fanatics saying that, yes, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas in the line of disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being Gaudiya means Brahma, Lord Brahma, Madhva, Madhvacharya. Gaudiya means Lord Chaitanya. So anyone in this line is not qualified or is not genuine. And there are but 4 lines of Vaishnava disciplic successions, which have descended from time immemorial: the Sri Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Kumar Sampradaya, headed by Sanak Kumar. So in the age of Kali, the principal acharyas of these 4 sampradayas are respectively Sri Ramanujacharya for the Sri Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya is Srimadva Acharya, for Rudra Sampradaya is Vishnu Swami, and Nimba Ditya for the Kumar Sampradaya, that means Nimbarka. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas were taught to be outside of these 4 sampradayas and were not accepted as having a pure lineage. In particular, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas did not have their own commentary of the Brahma Sutra. Therefore, they could not be accepted as a bona fide line of Vaishnava disciplic succession. So at that time, Maharaj Jai Singh, knowing the prominent Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas of Vrindavan, happened to be followers of Srila Rupa Goswami. He summoned them to Jaipur to take up the challenge with the Vaishnavas from the line of Sri Ramanuja. And because he was very old, Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur, and is very much into his bhajan, very much immersed in the transcendental bliss of his bhajan, or worship of the Supreme Lord. So he sent his student, another great acharya in our disciplic succession, Shripad Baladev Vidya Bhusan. So he sent them to Jaipur along with his disciple Krishna Dev, disciple of Baladev, in order to address the assembly. Yes, so there was some debate, and it says that Baladev Vidyabhusan has to prove that he has to refute the logic and very powerful, he has to give a very powerful evidence to prove that the Gaudiya Vaishnavas was a pure Vaishnava Sampradaya coming in the line of Madhva. So Sri Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And Srila Jiva Goswami, our previous acharya, Kavi Karnapur and others accepted this fact, though actually we are bona fide. And Sri Gaudiya Vaishnavas accepted Srimad Bhagavatam as the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. For this reason, there is no separate commentary, and the Vedanta Sutra was written by the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, because the same author, Srila Vyasadeva, of the Brahma Sutra, so there is no need of another to complement another explanation or commentary. The natural commentary is the Srimad Bhagavatam, coming from the same author. He's the author of Srimad Bhagavatam. So what else can you have another commentary for that? It's the same author. So yes, in the previous many written works of Srila Vyasadeva, the Puranas, Srimati Radhika's name is mentioned because she is the eternal consort of the Supreme Lord. She is the Hiladini, Shakti, potency, personification, the eternal beloved of Sri Krishna, and therefore only in the Srimad Bhagavatam that is not mentioned her name. Only Rasika and Babu Kavaktas, who are conversant with the conclusions of Shastra, can understand this confidential mystery. So it ended up that actually Baladev Vidya Bhusan Prabhu, he wrote famous Gaudiya commentary in the Brahma Sutra named Shri Govinda Bhashya. He was instructed by, after worshipping Shri Radha Govinda Dev in the temple, that actually it was Govinda Dev who dictated this Govinda Bhashya, and that cannot be refuted after that. Only then that this, when this was presented to the assembly of the other Vaishnavas, then it was accepted that yes, there is no doubt about this. And this is accomplished by Srila Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur. It's done on behalf of the Sampradaya by Srila Baladev Vidya Bhushan. So, I would like to read this. There is so many more passages here about the pastimes and glories of Srila Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur. But I would like to read some of his works. Braja Riti Chintamani, Chamatkara Chandrika, Prema Samputam, Gitavali, Subodhini, Ananda Chandrika, Commentary o Ujjwala Nilamani, Commentary on Shri Gopal Tapani, Stavamrita Lahari, Shri Krishna Bhavanamrita, Shri Bhagavatamrita Kana, Shri Ujjwali Nilamani Kirana, Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, Raghavartma Chandrika, Shri Madhurya Kadambini, Commentary on Dana Keli Komodi, Commentary on Shri Lalita Madhamanataka. Most of these works are from Srila Rupa Goswami. Commentary on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, incomplete. Commentary on Brahma Samhita. Commentary on the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Many of these works are translated into English also. Many of them are available in Loi Bazaar in Vrindavan. But there is so very confidential pastimes of the Supreme Lord along with His eternal consort Srimati Radharani. Very deep. It's very difficult to understand, especially if you're just gonna read it yourself. You may not be able to fully understand it. It'll remain as a mystery. This kind of books should be read or studied under a guidance of a very advanced devotee. Even though Prabhupada mentions in the Srimad Bhagavatam that we should also read the works of the previous acharyas, but specifically he instructed us to become more familiar with the Bhagavad Gita as it is, or his commentary, his magnum opus work, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Prabhupada says also that I have given you everything. Everything is in my books. So some say that, oh, Prabhupada didn't give us everything. Prabhupada works is not enough. So they try to understand, or they try to dive deeply to other books of the acharyas without proper guidance, and therefore they think they already made it. They already understood the conclusion of Srila Prabhupada's books, and therefore, even without under the tutelage or under the direction or guidance from advanced devotees, then they can also, just by reading it, they will attain love of God. So we must be very, very careful. Otherwise, it's very, very delicate. If you jump and read all of these books that we mentioned, and if you're not qualified yet to hear those, which means that when our bhakti becomes mature, then we will be able to understand all of these things in proper perspective. So let us just become more familiar with Krishna Tattva, Bhagavad Gita as it is, or Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada gave everything in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, or the first 3 chapters of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, or the first 3 slokas of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, or in the first verse. Even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave class for 3 months in the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam when he went to Vrindavan to perform parikrama along with his thousands of followers and disciples, the Babajis in Radhakund. They thought that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur will read or give classes on the very esoteric pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And they were surprised when he gave class on Sri Ishopanishad, which is like the very first, this is the very first book that one should read, even before Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada says Bhagavad Gita is the ABC of spiritual knowledge. But even before that, it should be Sri Ishopanishad. So one must be very careful. So now let us read this text 41. We have only a few more minutes. And let's see what Prabhupada's purport into this. Okay? Text 41 of the second chapter, as we mentioned earlier, that Srila Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur's commentary inspired Srila Prabhupada to become determined to really fulfill the instruction of his Guru Maharaj. Vyavisayatmika buddhir ekaha kurunandana bahusakahi anantascha buddhayo vyavisayinam. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Purport. A strong faith in Krishna consciousness that one should be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyabhisayatmika intelligence. The Chaitanya Charitamrita states, Shraddha Sabdhe Vishvasa Kahe Sudridha Nischaya Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Haya. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family traditions, humanity, or nationality. That means, just like Prabhupada says, just by watering the root of a tree, then all the branches, the twigs, the whole plant itself will be nourished. So similarly, by engaging in Krishna consciousness, we have so many debts that we have to pay, due to be paid. We are indebted to our forefathers, to the sages, to the demigods, but with just performing devotional service, automatically our debts to them will be paid. Fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one performs bhakti, karma stop. Prabhupada says, good in the material world is not good enough. Everything is bad. The only thing good is Krishna consciousness. It is our concoction. Oh, this is good, this is bad. If it doesn't have anything relationship with Krishna, everything is bad. Because everything is temporary except the holy name of the Lord and bhakti. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. Vasudeva Sarvam iti Samahatma Sudurlabha, by which one comes to know perfectly that Vasudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As water on the root of a tree is automatically distributed to the leaves and branches in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's action, then everyone will be satisfied. So this is the secret of success. I've been trying to emphasize this in my last meetings, the last few days, many classes I gave, that the secret of success to enjoy the highest pleasure, because we are all seeking pleasure entities, Anandamaya Vyasat, is to let ourselves to be enjoyed by the Supreme Lord. How do we do this? How do we accomplish that we let Krishna enjoy us? If we serve the Supreme Lord pure-heartedly, without any self-vested interest, only for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, then automatically we will also be happy. The reciprocation of the Supreme Lord towards us is that love is supreme above everything. The love of His devotees is supreme. In the spiritual world, love towards the Supreme Lord is the supreme. More than Lord Krishna Himself, that Lord Krishna is bound to please His devotees. That whatever His devotees desire, whatever kind of relationship that His devotees would like to offer or to give towards the Supreme Lord, reciprocally, Krishna gives them the opportunity to do it. And Krishna will allow Himself to be seemingly subordinate in order to accommodate the loving relationship that His devotees would like to offer towards the Supreme Lord. So, love is supreme above everything, including Lord Krishna. That Krishna is willing to please His devotee. This is one of His main qualities. He wanted to see His devotees happy. Only when His devotees wanted to love Him also unconditionally. So this is the secret of success. And Srila Prabhupada, he fulfilled the instructions of his Guru Maharaj to, whenever you get money, print books. Give this knowledge to the English-speaking world. And even in his very ripened age, at the age of 69, 70, which is the time of retirement. Just like in some countries, the age of retirement is 60. Or in other places, 65. What about 70? That is a time where, you're supposed to be just doing bhajan. Is properly situated in the Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. But still, fearlessly, with so much faith and the instructions of his Guru Maharaj and the holy name of the Lord, that he painstakingly went to America to fulfill that desire of his Guru Maharaj. And if he did not do it, we will not be talking today in front of the camera or the Zoom with you. You will be somewhere else, I'll be somewhere else, and we will all have the same one thing in common. We are all lost. We're gone. There's no way that we can be saved. So that very powerful commentary of Srila Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur inspired Srila Prabhupada to fulfill, and the result of that fulfillment of the desire of his Guru Maharaj is that we are here. We're the one who's like getting the result, but this is still not enough. We have to give this to others as well. It doesn't matter. You may not be a big preacher or whatever, big gurus, But whatever you can do to distribute this knowledge, this is like an effort or trying our very best to repay the debt that we owe to Srila Prabhupada. And in this way, if you can make one devotee, then guarantee you also go back home, back to Godhead. Prabhupada says, if I can make one devotee, I will consider my mission as a success. So, to be successful, it's not just to become a devotee, but to help others to become devotees. Hare Krishna. I will end up our meeting today. If you have any question or any comments, please do so. Your moderator also, you can raise your hands or you can write it in your chat box there. If you have any question. The life of Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur is so glorious, it's very rich. It's not enough 1 hour to explain. We just mentioned 1 or 2 pastimes. Anything, any points from down under? We're up, we're in UP, we're in Uttar Pradesh. You are way, way down the planet. But we're still in the same planet, same globe. You have any questions or comments, please do so. We'll be happy to try to reply.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandar Pranam. This is Nandabraj Das. Maharaj, you mentioned
where are you? I cannot see you. Where are you? Oh, Nandabraj, right there.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandar Pranam.
Haribol.
Haribol. Maharaj, you mentioned that Sri Ishopinath should be
Sri
read.
Ishopanishad, yeah.
Yeah, should be read even before we read Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
But in there we don't see even the name of Krishna. So how do you?
No, but Vishnu also is Krishna.
Okay.
First we have to understand Bhagavan, Bhagavat Tattva, or Krishna Tattva. That's why in the Bhakti Sastri, you have this, 4 main books? What? Sri Ishopanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, and there's another one.
Nectar of Instruction.
Nectar of Instruction. There you go. But I've read somewhere that Prabhupada says, even before Bhagavad Gita, it should be Sri Ishopanishad. Then you'll have a little bit more clear understanding of when you reach the Bhagavad Gita. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, ultimately, it says, Bhagavan Uvacha. Lord Krishna is talking that he is Bhagavan. So it's like step by step by step. It's like the kindergarten is like Sri Ishopanishad, then you go to elementary, then that is the Bhagavad Gita. The very first book that I really focused upon when I was in college is Sri Ishopanishad. I saw this book in the library in Canada, because I moved to Canada in 1980. In the university where I was studying, I saw this book, Sri Ishopanishad. So I practically did not return the book. I just kept the book myself, which is not good. Which is not good because, others should read this also. But they have Bhagavad Gita also there. I don't know if they have Bhagavad Gita, but in this library, this is the first book that I really focus upon, Sri Ishopanishad.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Are there any other question? Is that okay?
Yes, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Where are you?
Here.
I don't see
Please
you.
accept
What's
my
your
humble obeisances.
Dhanyavad. What's your name?
Nritya Gopal Krishna Das
All
Maharaj.
right, Nitya Gopal, yes,
And thank
sir.
you so much for the wonderful class. Maharaj, my question is, you mentioned that during the day we have to do practical devotional service, and the morning we
Yeah.
do the hearing and chanting. So is it that if somebody just engaged in hearing and chanting, they would not obtain perfection, or if they just did Shravanam Kirtanam, that would not be
You
enough
will.
to achieve
The
perfection?
test of your hearing and chanting is practical devotional service. Like you can be engaged in book distribution. I'm sure there's a chance for you to distribute books, like even when you go for boga shopping for your family, carry a book or two with you, and whomever you will meet, you tell them, hey, I have a nice book here, a book of knowledge, universal book of knowledge that many great thinkers from the past really study this. And it shows you how to be happy, not only on the weekends, but happy all the time.
Right.
You've heard of yoga? Well, this is the yoga of love, yoga of bhakti. Everyone talks about yoga, but they don't really do yoga. They just do exercise, physical exercise. So this is practical, or you can carry some prasadam with you. You can distribute them also. You can say, hey, you want some organic food? I prepare this. We used to say this when we distribute prasadam, because organic. They like organic, right? Everything organic. So hey, I have some nice organic preparations here. Something like that. You have to tax your brain, even as a grihasta. Even if you don't have like practical service at the temple, like cleaning or cooking or doing puja, but book distribution or go on Harinam. You can have some of your friends there. Singhagriv is there. You can go also on Harinam. Why not? Practical bhakti. It helps a lot. It makes you more committed.
Right.
Because whatever you learn from the books of Srila Prabhupada, ultimately it'll tell you to help others. As Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, no one is more dear to me than those who give this knowledge to others. So you want to be dear to Lord Krishna, then you give chance others to take up Krishna consciousness. Right?
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other points, comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, there's one question on the chat.
Okay, let me see.
No, they message directly to me, so I'll read.
Oh, directly to you. Okay.
So it says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. Maharaj, what happens to our Sarupa, spiritual body, in the spiritual world while the soul is in material body?
Why? Well, it's in an animated. It's there. It's just like your cloth is hanged up in a closet. Do you understand? It's like you have a material form right now. This also material form is a cloth. It's a dress, which is custom made due to our karma. So the eternal body is there, the eternal form, which is our spiritual form, is there, but it's like not in a functioning mode right now. When you're ready, you'll wear it again. And then you will serve Lord Krishna in that spiritual form. Do you understand? Just like you have clothes in your closet, you're not using them. You probably haven't used it for years. But still there, isn't it? It still belongs to you. It's
Yes,
very absurd analogy, but what else can we understand? It is beyond the grasp of our teeny weeny little mind to understand this. You don't worry about this. First, purify yourself by the cleansing method of hearing and chanting the holy name of the Lord, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and ultimately it says that the spiritual master will reveal this to you one day. We should be worried about more how we can chant purely the holy name of the Lord. How to not become envious. How to not be lusty. How to not be greedy. How to control our anger. How to control our madness towards material energy. How to be not in illusion. We should be concerned about this. Purifying process first. Then eventually, we should go into those topics. Is that okay?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
Anything else?
I've got a question, Maharaj, here.
Yes.
You did mention about being practical in devotional service. Means participating in like book distribution, Harinam, Prasad distribution, or in the temple when we are in the temple, do some sort of a service.
Right.
Sometimes when we are in the temple and when there's a festival going on, and in the morning when we say to the devotees, okay, we need some help, and devotees give the excuse that we've got some rounds to chant, or I've got some reading to be done, like Krishna book or something like that. So how to encourage them that, you know, you need to use some aspect of those?
Even when there is not, you should have also some kind of education program that is keep on going on educational programs in the temple. Let's say study, Bhagavad Gita study group or program, or any of Srila Prabhupada's books, because to encourage a person or a devotee to serve, it becomes easy when they understood the necessity that what is to be done should be done, and others can be sacrificed. Like in festival times, some of us are not able even to chant our rounds, and we will chant our rounds, include that whatever we are missing for the next day, because the service is needed more in the festival time. It needs to be done. So you have to sacrifice. So you cannot understand this if you are not educated, if you don't know the need. Because they think that the japa or their japa or the reading is more important than the service. It's like, you know, when it comes to there is a war, everyone is being recruited. Young, even woman, even old. And they give them all the guns. They don't know how to use the gun. Right? But that, no, let's go. There's a war. Here's a gun. Take it. Because you have to defend the country. So similarly, when there is a time of need, we should, whether we don't know how to do it or know how to do it, if we don't know how to do it, then you please show me how to do it. I will sacrifice my time. But those also who are asking to do service from others should be exemplary themselves. That they can be seen that actually they're doing their part. They're doing their duty. They are, what? Walking their talk. It is not just say, hey, come on, we need someone, and then you're the one who doesn't do anything. Then how can you encourage others to do what is need to be done? It doesn't make sense, right? But if they see you that you're really a hard worker and you're inspirational, you have good relationship, you really want to engage others, then they will be so willing to do it, and they'll be inspired from you also. So there are many combinations how you can do it. You understand?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Okay. Anything else?
Is there any other devotee who would like to ask any question to Maharaj? You are most welcome. So if not, then we can then
we can end this here now.
Yes, Maharaj. I'll just ask His Grace Nanraj Prabhu to just pass a vote of thanks on behalf of the devotees.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, and Pranam. On behalf of all the devotees here in Auckland and also on this platform, we'd like to really thank you for taking out your valuable time to give association and a very good insight into the life of His Grace Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur. It's been quite inspirational. I mean, how learned he was and how he inspired Srila Prabhupada in the mission.
Yes.
Without his inspiration, we might not be here, as you said. So I'd like to really thank you to give us this insight and motivation to carry on Srila Prabhupada's movement. Thank you, Maharaj, once again. And we might see you again in Auckland. We might see you again in Auckland sometime. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Sure.
Jai.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
His Holiness Bhakti Anugraha Maharaj ki.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Srila
Sing
Prabhupada ki
and
jai.
Yes. Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So we'll request Srila Prabhu to give a bit of update, and there's a special small talk by His Grace Sri Krishna Prabhu on the books of the basis. Prabhu, can you just come online?
Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. So tomorrow we'll have His Holiness Bhakti Mukunda Maharaj giving class. And then on Friday, we'll have His Grace Praneshwar Prabhu giving class. So this is for tomorrow and on Friday. And we'll request everyone to just give us another, say, 5 to 10 minutes to have a quick discussion about the books are the basis. And I'll pass it to His Grace Sud Krishna Prabhu to please explain.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Okay, so I just wanted to actually, something I was just sharing with Krishna Chandra Prabhu. So I'm one of the people who are contacting on behalf of Auckland. The Minister of Education is in touch with me for all their programs. We did the Smaranam, the first Smaranam festival last year for a week, and thereafter they have been sending updates. So from last year to this year, they have been interviewing all the ISKCON leaders all over the world. And the focus is on books at the basis. So they want devotees, practicing devotees, to be reading Prabhupada's books every day on a regular basis. And with their example, to inspire all the other devotees to make Prabhupada's books a part of their daily sadhana. So they have completed one round of interviewing all the other major ISKCON leaders all over the world. So now they have an initiative that they have just shared with me a few days back, whereby they want the local